Welcome to Rave Waves by the Book, a production of the Rave Reviews Book Club, where each month we feature the work of a RISA author. For those of you unfamiliar with RISA, it's the Rave Writers International Society of Authors, the exclusive branch of the RRBC founded in 2014. I'm your host, Sam Polikoff, broadcasting live from Baltimore, Maryland. This segment of By the Book is sponsored by RISA. If you are an author and are interested in having a commercial created for your book to air on one of our shows, just visit the Rave Reviews Book Club website and click on the Rave Waves tab. It's a fantastic way to promote your books. You can find the book club's website at ravereviewsbookclub.wordpress.com. Joining us today from Jupiter, Florida is Patty Perrin, the author of Reflections of a Misfit. Listeners, if you have any questions or comments for Patty, please feel free to use the chat function at the bottom of your screen. I'll be opening up the floor for questions and comments, so if you have one for our guests, just a little wave of the hand will get our attention. Patty, on behalf of RRBC and RISA, we're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you. Now, you write under the pen name PTL Perrin, and you grew up in Europe as a so-called military brat with no television and a self-described huge imagination. So, as your book's title implies, you refer to yourself as a misfit. Can you tell us why?
I believe, frankly, that everybody's a misfit because we all are so individual. We're very unique, but I never really fit into anything. When you grow up around the world the way I have, you can't develop roots. You don't have a community of people that you grow up with. And so you're moving around a lot and you go to a lot of different schools. And so every time we move to a different place, I was the odd man out or the odd girl out. And I wasn't the only one who felt that way. I think every military brat or third culture kid probably feels the same way. You're always a misfit. You never quite fit in anywhere. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's
cool. Okay to be that way.
Great attitude and approach to life. Now, before we go too much farther, I know you told me to tell our audience what that background is.
All right, this is Frankenstein's castle, and it's in a little tiny town in Germany called Frankenstein. And when I was a teenager, I passed through there and said, I saw the ruins up there. I said, this is cool. I'm going to spend the night there by myself. And so I did. I packed up a pup tent and I went and spent the night at Frankenstein's castle just so I could do this and tell people I did it.
Didn't see Boris Karloff there.
No, but it was pretty spooky. It was a full moon night, deliberate, and there was a dead tree right in front of me, and there was an owl that perched right on top of it. It was such a spooky scene. I loved it.
I'm going to put it on my bucket list. Now, let's go back to writing. So are you a full-time author, and how long have you been at it? Tell us that.
I'm a late bloomer. I started writing, I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but it was in 2014 is when I published, for the first time I published Reflections of a Misfit. I've written 4 books since then. I've written my 4-book series, which is a young adult sci-fi series. And I'm working on another series now. So it started in 2014 and I'm not, I'm not a spring chicken.
Well, I think as we've expressed before on this show with many of our guests, I was a late bloomer, published my first book at 55, and many of us are. So, maybe you're just part of the misfit writers group.
That's probably right.
So before we dive into your book, Patty, I want you to tell us something about yourself that the general public just doesn't know, an unusual hobby, a prior profession, or some really weird experience.
I've had a lot of really weird experiences. When I went to college in Munich, I lived in a haunted dorm.
Oh, wow.
And it had been barracks of the Nazis during World War II. The actual campus is in a military base, and that had been Hitler's headquarters in Munich during the war. And so I lived in the most haunted room in the haunted barracks. And so I had a lot of very weird experiences there. I also lived in a haunted house and this is weird. I think it's because of the background. It's just bringing up these memories. But I lived in a haunted house in Italy. We had a very nice little villa there, and we had a vineyard out back and a lot of different fruit trees. And it was a beautiful place, but there were spirits in that house. And there was, I could tell you so many stories. But there were good ones and there were bad ones, and the bad ones were terrifying, and the good ones were, Casper the Friendly Ghost type. I never saw them, but sensed them and heard them and felt them around. So yeah, I had a lot of that weird stuff happen.
Could not have slept in either of those places. So thanks for sharing that. Thank you so much. So the book we're going to discuss today is Reflections of a Misfit, and just give our audience a brief summary of the book.
It started as a gratitude project. Someone had challenged me on Facebook to write something I was grateful for every day, just a little something for the month of November. It's Thanksgiving month, and so I did, and then I couldn't stop. And I read scriptures every morning, and as I was reading them, things were coming to mind. The Lord was reminding me of a lot of stuff. And so it all went into the little daily things I wrote. That was more like a devotional at that point. And so people were asking me to please write it, put it in a book. And eventually, about a year later, my husband encouraged me to do it, and I did it. And that's what Reflections of a Misfit is. It's just kind of grouped together in different subjects, but it is compiled of those things that I wrote during that year.
Would you consider it a memoir of sorts?
In a sense. I mean, there was more memories in some parts than in others, but all of it is how the scriptures I read related to my life. In actuality, I became a Christian at 25. I was 25 years old, and I came in kicking and screaming. My brother and sister had become Christians, and my brother sent me the Bible as a comic book at the time, okay, with pictures and everything to encourage me to read it, because I like that. I like those things. And I even took a course in college, the Bible as literature, before I became a Christian. And it was very dry, and I said I wasn't interested at all in it. I passed the course, but that was about it. Mm-hmm. But when I challenged God, and this is something my sister encouraged me to do. She said, why don't you challenge God and just say, ask him, if you're real, make yourself real to me. And so I did, and I kind of shouted it at the heavens because I really didn't want to know, but I was angry with her. And so I was angry with whoever I was shouting at. And he let me know in very, very clear terms. I had an experience with him that was very real, very strong, very real, and tailor-made for me. Mm-hmm. Not something other people might have seen as the same thing, but it was tailor-made for me. And so I realized that not only is God real, but he's very personal, and he's personally interested in each one of us. And so as I wrote these things, I had been reading the Bible for many years by the time I started that gratitude project. And but the Lord was really showing me in this, just little snippets of things I read each day, and just how intimate God is, and how everything related to things. And it changed my life. Learning to be grateful became a life changer for me. I had been a very bitter person, angry 90% of the time. And once I started getting to know the Lord and walking with him, it was a long process. I was not easy. I was a misfit all the way, kicking and screaming just about every day against what I considered restrictions, until I started this project and realized that what I thought were restrictions were not. They were very freeing. Mm-hmm. And I found freedom, and I found joy and peace and fearlessness. I was fearless when I was a kid, don't get me wrong. I had no sense of mortality whatsoever. I was never going to die, ever. And I did all kinds of things and took a lot of chances. But there are a lot of different kinds of fear. And so with this in this book, I kind of chronicle that little journey, and the chapters are kind of put into places, for example, dealing with fear. You know, how do you deal with fear? And nowadays, that's a really big issue, I think, for a lot of us. And so this is what God showed me, and I'm just sharing it with whoever reads it.
Good. That sounds like a quite liberating experience, your Christian discovery. And we're going to come back to religion in a moment, so bear with me. I want to talk first about this book cover. And in your Amazon profile, there's a photo of you and a dolphin. And this cover, the cover of your book has a dolphin and a person doing a synchronous dive. Give us the backstory on you and dolphins and why you chose this for your cover.
I love dolphins. I've always loved dolphins. I feel like they're an intelligent species, probably left here from another planet somewhere, because they're so smart. I feel the same about whales and the other marine mammals. But it was always a dream of mine to swim with dolphins. And my husband and I were able to do that, which is where that picture came from a few years ago. And the dolphin picture just kind of came to me as a misfit, in a sense that I'm not a dolphin and the dolphin isn't me. And yet there we are diving in synchronicity, that we can be together and be friendly and be part of something, even though each one of us is so very different from the other.
That's great. I've also had that experience swimming with dolphins a couple different times. I went a little bit kicking and screaming because it was something that my wife wanted to do, but I enjoyed it. It was fun, and they are affectionate, I think, is a good way to describe dolphins. And they're fun. Let's go over to the gallery. We've got lots of comments coming in, and we won't be able to get to all of them because I can't read that fast, and we don't have enough time. But people are there's a lot of compliments coming through here, Patty, on the book and gratitude and writing of devotion. Let's see if we have any questions. Shirley is saying she had a spiritual awakening once, and it's not something you can really describe. And Linnea said she loves your book cover. Pat says she loved the old television program Flipper. I remember that. Got to be old enough to remember that one. And Jan says, thank you for talking about the beautiful cover. Patty, it's stunning. And Donnie says, Patty, you're such a brave soul. It seems to be filling everything on your bucket list. Good for you. And she loved Flipper too, Pat. So lots of good comments. And so let's come back to you, Patty. You've got a keen interest in things that can't be easily explained, and it seemed to have formed the basis for your other books as well. So take us into your imagination a little bit and tell us, how it works. How does your mind work to be able to create all of these great characters and worlds and situations?
I don't know that you really want to know or actually get lost.
Definitely want to know. That's why you're here. We definitely want to know. That's exactly why you're here.
Yeah, my mind works in odd ways, and part of it's because I've been sensitive to things all my life, and probably why I've had some of those weird experiences. But I've always been interested in like ancient aliens. Okay, that's a big one for me. And I read Chariots of the God by Eric von Däniken when it first came out.
Yep.
Yeah, and it has always stuck with me. And so I firmly believe that we are not alone in this universe, that there are plenty of planets out there that could easily be occupied by others. And I also firmly believe that aliens actually live among us now. So that's kind of the basis. That's the beginning of it. I think God as a creator has just created the most phenomenal mysteries everywhere. Some of the places that I have in my books, for example, are real mysterious places that exist on this earth that people can actually go to see. Maybe some not so much, like the Crystal Cave in Mexico, where you can walk on the crystals. And I mentioned that in my little blog post there. It's very dangerous inside there, and you have to have protective gear. And somebody died there because they just decided to go in, and they think that it had something to do with the vibrations or something, who knows. Yeah. And there's there are so many mysteries on our planet. I spoke about a couple of them. There are so many more. For example, and I just wanted to mention this one, there is a Stargate in Peru, and it's in a place that they call, I want to say it's a forest of the gods or something similar to that, because the structures there, the rocks there look like they might have been sculpted. And this Stargate, people have disappeared in there. And so it's something you can look up. Just look up Stargate in Peru and you can see it. And this is where a lot of my ideas come from, because I hear something and I look it up and I want to know, I want to know what more about this. And so that's where a lot of my ideas come from.
That's great, and I can see the excitement, and I can feel the energy, and I'm sure that comes through in your writing, which is why you're successful. So let's come back to I want to come back to religion. You describe yourself as a new Christian, and that this is from your book blurb, as a new Christian, Patty questioned everything. What is or isn't acceptable? What would she have to give up? What happens when she messes up? What are the rules? And so, on this journey, what did you have to give up to become a Christian, and what happened when you messed up? That's what we all want to know.
Well, what I had to give up was stuff that I didn't have to give up anything. All I did was live my life out, and God changed me from the inside out. So the things that I eventually gave up were things I wanted to give up because they didn't interest me anymore. They weren't a part of me. They weren't who I was. And so God actually changed me. And it was a journey. He didn't have an easy time of it, because I was very rebellious and just wanted my own way. I don't like rules, which makes it kind of hard when it comes to writing, because there are a lot of rules in writing and you want to get it right. But I never did like rules. And so I thought that I would have to, I don't know, I had an idea of Christianity that was just so very different from what it actually is. Christianity is a life, and it is life, and there's nothing oppressive about it when you really seek it and you really seek God. Now, I didn't know any of that. I figured, well, there's a whole bunch of rules. I had known some Christians. I didn't really like them. They were dull in my mind. They were dull and not happy, and they weren't having fun. And I wanted to have fun. I wanted the joy. I wanted to be joyful. And I realized, as I became more and more involved with the Lord, that I had not been joyful at all those years. I was very selfish, and a lot of things that I didn't like about myself. And as I grew in the Lord, I just learned that He liked me a whole lot better than I liked me. And He was just gently molding me and helping me to see that and to become a better person as I went along. Now, I'm still a work in progress. There's a whole lot more work to be done. But the fact is, it's not oppressive work. It's not hard work. It's joyful work. It's work that is just has so many promises along the way. It's kind of hard to explain, which is why I didn't understand at all what it was and what it was like.
Well, you've talked a lot about, I think you mentioned your sister was an influencing factor, and some other members of your family had converted to Christianity. I guess I would ask, was there anything else that contributed? What were the main differences? You mentioned you were an angry person. You think you said you were somebody that didn't like yourself. So low self-esteem is an interesting point of view for conversion. But tell us if there's anything more. Is there anything more to that? The main difference between where you were before in your prior religion and where you are today as a Christian?
Well, yeah, there were several things. I had gotten involved with the occult at some point because of all those weird experiences in my, and so that turned dark. That became very dark. And I realized the power of that. And so as a Christian, I saw a totally different kind of power. It's like the light against the dark, in the sense of evil and good, I guess. Or maybe it is just light and dark, because I'll tell you what, the light from the Lord can dispel dark things that come at me, shadows that come at me at night. And so that is a huge difference. I've been empowered in a way that I never thought would be possible. You know, I thought I had a lot of power back in the day, you know, when I was doing all that stuff. But the fact is, I was much more controlled by outside influences than I wanted to admit. And in this case, I just feel like there's just a complete freedom. I don't have to conform to a lot of preconceived ideas that people have about Christianity, or even some of the legalistic ideas that other people, you know, try to put on you as Christians. I don't conform to that stuff. I don't believe in that stuff. For example, you know, we have gay daughters. Okay, 2 of them now, and one of them is married to the love of her life, and they have a beautiful little granddaughter. And the consensus in some circles in Christianity is that that is terrible. It's horrible. It's an evil. It's sin. And we had to struggle with that a little bit, you know, when we first heard that they were getting married and they invited us to their wedding. And then we realized that if we're going to live this life of Christianity, we have to learn to choose the path of love. Jesus is love. And so we choose the path of love. And we did that. We went to their wedding. We had a great time. I told all her friends I would pray for them. They all looked at me like I had 2 heads. And it was so much fun. And, you know, we have accepted them and they are family to us. Now we have other people in our family. We have two kids who are trans now. And that's something that is fairly recent. And that is a, you know, we're just accepting it. We're saying, okay, God has a path and a plan for each one of them. You know, it's not my path. It's not your path. It's their path with God. He doesn't love them any less. And, you know, the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. Well, that whoever, there are no caveats to that. There are no restrictions to that. He didn't say whoever except these people or whoever except those people. No restrictions. God's love has no restrictions. And so that's kind of where I am.
I think, Patty, you know, just to sum it up, the universal truth across all religions, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, or anything else, is that love carries the day. And it doesn't matter what paths your loved ones choose or others choose, love carries the day. And I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. So I want to come to RRBC. You're a member of the RRBC community, and talk a little bit about how your membership in the organization has benefited you as a writer.
Oh, I've met you guys, all you guys, and you're just absolutely wonderful people. You know, I've had so much fun getting to know you. We think very differently from each other. We write very differently from each other. I'm reading genres that I would not normally pick up, and I'm enjoying them. And you guys are really awesome writers. I have never met a group as supportive of each other as the people here. And so I love this. I love being a part of this. It's a lot of work. I didn't expect it to be so much work, but I'm actually enjoying the work as well. And
have to give to get, right? So you're also a member of RISA, you know, where hundreds of authors have applied for membership, but only about 50 of us have made that big cut. So how does it feel to belong to such a prestigious organization as RISA?
Humbling. It's very humbling. You know, I've read some of you guys' books. It's like, oh, you know, I can't write like that. You know, I write in my way and I write okay, but you guys really, really know how to write. And it's so much fun to be a part of this. It's a very humbling experience to be a part of RISA. Yeah. I appreciate the honor.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of talent in that group, and we're glad to have you as part of it. So, you know, RISA and RRBC, we embrace the philosophy of supporting others just as much as you support yourself. And we just alluded to this, but what has that meant for you to have the support of your peers, you know, promoting your work on social media and in other ways?
It feels like a lot of warm hugs. Can't hug all you guys,
Way to describe it.
Distant, we can anyway if we were close, but that's how it feels. It feels like a lot of warm hugs. It feels like I have a bunch of people who care, and I care, and so it really works.
That's great. Now, let's drop back over to the gallery, Patty, and see what comments are coming through. And I think this interview is setting a record for comments since I've been doing this By the Book show. Shirley mentioned that she's still evolving. And Yvette says, I so wish everyone could understand that concept, Patty. Nani says, you're amazing. And let's see where else we go. Jane says, thank you, Patty, for everything. And it just looks like lots of virtual love and hugs coming across. So let's come back to you and just say, about what you're working on now. What's the next book for Patty Perrin, or PTL Perrin, as we'll see on the print, right?
I'm working on a book right now that is probably the first in a series, and it's a spin-off from my last series. I fell in love with one of my characters who was a baby in the last one, and she's going to grow up in this one. And it's more a fantasy than sci-fi. We still may have some aliens, but the aliens really live here, so they're not super weird. And it's a fantasy book about a girl who gets caught up and kidnapped and taken to a different dimension that is working on a different timeline than ours. And so the things that happen there happen, she grows up there where the people here are moving a lot more slowly. So it's kind of fun to pull those threads together and see where this is going to take me, because I don't even know how it's going to end.
Well,
answer. I don't do the outlines very well because I can never stick to one.
With your imagination, who knows where it'll take us right now. Do you have a title for the book yet?
Yeah, it's the first one is Umbra's Theft. Can't even say it, so it might not be a really good title.
Well, we'll practice that. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, good luck with that. When do you think that's coming out? Any idea?
No idea.
No? Take your time.
Hopefully next year.
Oh, good. And any quick, because we're running out of time, these shows just fly by so fast. Any writing advice for our listeners, 30 seconds or less?
Well, the same advice I give myself, just edit the heck out of it and make sure that you get a good editor, an outside editor. Read it aloud to yourself or let the computer read it aloud to you. And that way you find a lot of missing things, and just have people look at it, have a lot of different eyes on it as you're working on it, because the critique group is phenomenal. I love the critique group, and so thankful that I found you guys. You're awesome.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. And let's just take a moment here, and as we wrap up. The program is called By the Book, and we do things by the book, of course. So we need you to tell the listening audience why they should run right out to Amazon and buy a copy of Reflections of a Misfit.
Well, because it's a very uplifting book. I think you're going to find it very positive. And if you're looking for some answers, like how to defeat the fear in your life, or different things, you might want to look there. Now, there's some things you might not agree with as you read the book, by the way, but you can skip over those parts and just go on to the next one.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's cool.
Enjoy the book.
I'm sure everybody's going to run out and get it. And I see we're just about out of time, Patty. I just want to thank you for visiting with us today and letting us get to know you better on By the Book.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed seeing all your faces. It's been a lot of fun.
Enjoyed you and your radiating smile. So thank you. Listeners, I'd like to share a couple of other titles befitting the name of this program, and these books come highly recommended, so you'll want to head to Amazon or wherever you buy books legally and pick up copies of these two gems. The first title is Apollo's Raven by Linnea Tanner, who I think is with us today. So Linnea, hi, here's your book cover. It's beautiful. And everybody should run out and buy that. The second title that we are plugging right now is Reflections, Inspirational Quotes and Interpretations by John Fioravante. Again, another excellent read, and we recommend that you run out and go get that book. These books are in the RISA catalog at ravewriters.wordpress.com, and they're categorized by the author's last name. Both authors are members of the very exclusive RISA. And now it's time to pay some bills. So today's sponsor is RISA. And Nani, please roll that footage for us.
Welcome to RISA, Rave Writers International Society of Authors, exclusive to indie authors with a reputation for excellence in writing. Membership is by invitation only. To apply, please visit the RISA website. Please note, you must first be a member of RRBC, Rave Reviews Book Club. RISA, where only the best will do.
That was great. I like that. I think that was an avatar of Nani Jules, but I can't swear to that.
I'm sorry, that was Jan Sykes.
That was Jan Sykes.
Jan's voice. That was Jan's voice. And no, I did not make that promo, so I can't take credit for it.
Okay, you're off the hook. Okay, so let's see. We asked that you once again visit the RISA catalog and check out some of these amazing reads. Our catalog has something for everyone. And again, I'd like to thank author Patty Perrin for being my guest today, as well as those of you who participated from our Zoom gallery. Your presence is always appreciated. And remember, if you miss a live show, you can always find each and every episode in the Rave Waves archive on the RRBC site. This is your host, Sam Polikoff, thanking you for tuning in today to Buy the Book, a Rave Waves production. Be sure to join us next time for another exciting episode of Rave Waves Talk Radio, where all things literary are our passion. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.